Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Samuel here representing Team JBS, back here again for another season review. So I have gone through, I want to say in 3 days, 3 to 4 3 days through Killing Eve. This is my third season, spoiler-free as best I can, review for the third season of Killing Eve. So what did I think about it? I think that there's been, well, based on my research, that there was a transitional period between going to BBC America over to AMC, and I think that with that transition, that a lot of the storytelling elements have kind of shifted and changed. Like, it wasn't like, you know, every single episode, like, I don't know what's going to happen, I don't know what the progression thing's going to be. There's definitely some fall off on some of the episodes progressionally that happen, but I will say this, the trade-off to that is the emotional payoff moments that do happen. Specifically, even in the very first episode. The very first episode, I was kind of like, dang, like, okay, Eve is still alive, of course, because you wouldn't have a show without her. But the last episode, you know, Villanelle straight up shot her and left her for dead, you know? They both had these compulsive, like, reactions to each other in different ways. Eve was kind of like the very first season, compulsively just stabbed her, left her, and then kind of like thought about it. Villanelle was hurt, and she did what she normally does, just, you know, she shot her, you know? But it was like, going into this one, it was kind of like, Eve was out of her element, she's no longer working with MI6. Matter of fact, she's working at this random, like, sushi shop, and she's laying low. And it was kind of like everybody else, kind of like from that situation, kind of pulled back. And kind of like people like Kenny, people like, you know, Caroline. The thing about, what they did really well. Oh my gosh, I really love what they did with Fiona Shaw's Caroline. Because Caroline in this one, she goes through every range of emotion that she normally wouldn't do. Normally she's like cold and calculative, but certain things that really emotionally compromise her into really getting emotional. Whether it be anger, whether it be unempathetic or empathetic, or whether it be like, you know, dealing with circumstances that she normally would just not even think about. And I find that just very good for her character and the progression of her arc. By the end of the episode, by the end of the last episode of the season, I was kind of like, dang, what she did throughout this season, I don't look at her the same way anymore after this point. But at the same exact time, that goes for Eve as well as Villanelle. Because Villanelle, on her side, you know, after what she did to Eve, she was kind of like, you know what, I'm moving on, I'm doing this. When you see Eve when you see Villanelle in the first episode, you be like, what the heck? And she wants to kind of move up. She's trying to go and reach a different plateau. But one thing they definitely do, and I think that Jodie Comer's performance speaks for itself in the way that her understanding of just how flawed and dangerous and elemental this character Villanelle is, she goes for it. Like, I think that there are certain choices from the written standpoint that kind of is like a little bit more comical in understanding, but they never, you know, overshadow her level of danger. Like, you understand how dangerous she really actually is. But there's things that she does that I was kind of like, from a written standpoint, it just didn't add up on paper. It didn't add up on paper. But that's not to shoot what Jodie Comer did for her performance, because her performance was great. Like, she plays that role like nobody's business. Now, Sandra Oh's Eve continues down this downward spiral, which you thought, you know, okay, things are getting better. Like, she got shot, like she's getting over certain things. No, like, the spiral continues, and when I say the spiral continues, yeah, like, she is no longer the same. I think Constantine has said it, and I said it in the last review, that being connected to someone like Villanelle does not leave you being the same. And not just that, you start to understand that other people around Villanelle are spiraling as well. Like, whether it's the smallest of interactions, whether it's the long-term interactions. Constantine, they do a lot with his character in this one, because you start to understand certain things about what he's trying to do, what he's done, who he's connected to, and there's also a overarching antagonist, which we kind of delved into the 12, the past 2 seasons, but there's a bigger presence here. The only thing I don't like is the last 2 or 3 episodes, they undercut the danger aspect of the 12 to me. I think that by the end of the season, I was kind of like, are they really that bad? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Villanelle on her own, like, handles most of this. Like, she takes the legwork. But I do think that there's a progressional thing that's going to be happening coming very soon. One thing I didn't like is that it just was a random transition to working with a new organization that Eve was doing that I just didn't understand. Personally, like, it transitioned so quickly, and it was like, I was kind of like forced to deal with these new characters versus what to me would have made a more progressional understanding of like working with another organization from a different country. I just didn't think that the choice of working with this organization, I feel like it felt very shoehorned, and it just happened so quickly that I was kind of like, wait, who's he working for again? Like, what is really going on? I really just did not understand. Not just that, people around Eve are left to suffer as well. Because when you get to see what's going on with Nico, I said it the first season, I was like, Nico, you need to leave Eve alone. Eve was never happy with herself. She was never just okay with what she really had. And she kept digging and digging regardless of what it was going to cause around her. And she still has not, as brilliant as she is, as cool as she is, like, she is unrelenting. And she doesn't care what that does to other people. It's kind of like, the first 2 seasons, I was like, I can see where she's an asset. I can understand how she's diving in. But it seems at times she's bleeding into obsession. This season, I didn't even necessarily, I could tell her skill set. Sandra does an amazing job. Like, from an acting standpoint, she does an amazing job. But her character, I don't even know if they focus in on what hones in on what her craft is or how good she really is, because it blurred these lines of obsession all over again. And it took away from the nuance that the first 2 seasons, in my opinion, really kind of had. But again, there are emotional stakes that they merge into this season at strategic moments that really throw you off. And I mean, every single character gets emotionally compromised. I will say this, that 3rd season, everybody is emotionally compromised. Everybody. Not one person is, kind of left in this good kind of state. Also, there's some newcomers in this one that I think that lay an interesting little foundation that I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is really interesting. So, the character Dasha, for instance, when you get to understand who Dasha is and what she does with Villanelle and who she really is and her connection with certain organizations, it's like, oh, snap, there's players out there that, but to be fair, what they do with Dasha, in my opinion, doesn't live up to what my expectation was by the end of the season. And that kind of happens a little bit frequently, in my personal opinion. But was the season good? Yeah, I think it was good. Do I think that there are certain things from a written standpoint that just, it's kind of like just had the characters floating for no good apparent reason? It felt like the season to me wasn't planned well, or wasn't, now what I mean by planned is that the position of where the characters go progressionally and how they just maneuver. Like, you look at the first 2 seasons, the way they kind of maneuver through things, it felt like it was pre-set up in a way that was like genius level, And this one, the characters get drugged through certain circumstances that compromise them, yes, but it doesn't feel like the pacing progresses the weight of what was actually written on paper, if that makes sense. But let me know what you guys think. As far as the number rating, I still leave it at, I'll leave this one at a 9, maybe an 8.5, 9 out of 10. It's still a good season. But it's like, it's weird because I don't know where this is going now. I don't. I don't even know if I really cared to know what's the surrounding thing, what's going on with the 12, and I don't know where things are gonna go, and I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't necessarily care what the 12 surrounding arc is, and then I kind of like, I don't know where things are gonna go when it comes to the characters, but I need something to hold on to, you know what I mean? Like the last 2 seasons, the cliffhanger point was like, yo, she got left for dead. What's gonna happen? How's she gonna really get out of this? Eve was left for dead. We didn't know what was gonna really happen. We just knew that she was a title character. You can't sit there and kill the title character, even though it could have been a play on words. But this one, I don't know. All I can say is that everybody did an amazing job of performance. I think Fiona does the best out of everybody because they put her through the ringer. But definitely Jodie Comer probably be the second standout as far as performance wise. And Sandra Oh just nails the character. Regardless of whatever way they write her, she's playing the character up, and her character evolves. Like, she progressively evolves, for good or bad. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Peace, guys.